everybody, and welcome back to another video here on the Monkey Games a Lot channel. I am your host, Monkey Master, and as you can see, I'm back here giving you the first ever video in our Top 10 Tuesday series. If you don't know what's going on, obviously it's Tuesday and I'm not doing a Tutorial Tuesday video. If you want to find out the full story, then go and check out last week's video of Tutorial Tuesday, because that will give you the full picture of what's going on. But what I've decided to do is, for now, Tutorial Tuesday will be replaced with Top 10 Tuesday. And like I said, if you want to hear the full story, go back and check out last week's video of Tutorial Tuesday. Okay, so on Top 10 Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a whole variety of top 10s to do with a load of different games, mainly Minecraft for now. But in the future I might introduce some more games that I really like, things that I might have played through that I can't currently show on the channel because I don't have the proper equipment to do so, things like that. But for now, it's going to be Minecraft. As you can see, we got the Minecraft in the background. And today, the top 10 we're going to be looking at is top 10 hardest Minecraft monsters. So we're going to be going through what are the top 10 hardest monsters to beat in Minecraft. So coming in at number 10 spot, it is the Enderman. So I decided to put the Enderman in the list because it's very powerful. It can teleport around. Its hits are quite powerful. It has a lots of health in itself for considering it's not a boss mob. So it is quite hard to take out, especially considering it can teleport away from you and then kind of teleport back and surprise you. So it can be quite difficult like that. But it's quite high up the list compared to some of the others. You might think, oh, actually, the Enderman should go in front of them because the Enderman's more powerful. But I've decided to put the Enderman quite low down on the list because it is a neutral mob. All the other mobs on this list should attack you as soon as they see you. However, the Enderman only attacks you if 1, you attack it first, or 2, you stare it right in the eyes. So that's why it's quite low down on the list and only in the number 10 spot. But then coming in the number 9 spot, we have the Guardian. So the Guardian is the fish that swims around basically guarding the underwater temples. And it shoots lasers, and basically it's blue laser, and when it turns yellow it takes some of your health off, and it's underwater, so it makes it very hard to like get away from. Obviously if it's a monster on the ground, you just run away from it, but unless you've got like Depth Strider or something like that, it's quite hard to swim away from it. And also there's often lots of them there, so they can be quite difficult to take out. But if you can get like a pillar and block off the lasers, then their attacks are quite easily avoided, which is why they still are fairly low down on the list. So coming into the number 8 spot, maybe a bit of a surprising one for some of you. You might think, whoa, why is that on the list? But when I was doing this, I was testing all the mobs out on one of my worlds to see which ones I thought should go on the list. And the Magma Cube actually proved very difficult to face if you're facing one of the big magma cubes. So they're powerful, their hits do a lot of damage if you're talking about the really big ones. They can jump very high, so you'll have to have lots of blocks to build up high enough to get away from them. And obviously if it's a big one, it splits into 4 medium ones, and then they split into 4 little ones. So you do get a lot of monsters on your hands eventually if you don't just run away from them, which is, to be honest, the easiest thing to do. But obviously if you come across just a few little ones, then they're a lot easier to take out. So it is a bit of a weird one because it only really counts if you're facing the big ones, but still it's on the list nonetheless. So coming in at the number 7 spot is the Shulker. So the Shulker is difficult to see. You can find it in the end cities, and it kind of just blends in with all the other blocks around it. And then like you don't realise you're facing a Shulker until you're close enough for it to attack you. And the Shulker doesn't directly attack you. It doesn't like fire anything at you to kill you. It fires like a levitation spell at you, which causes you to float up in the air. And then it can also fire more at you to cause you to float higher and higher and higher. And if you don't land on something quick enough or like block yourself off, you can go up so high that when the levitation wears off, because the levitation does wear off, you just fall and die. And that's kind of the Shulker's attack. So they're quite difficult to see, and their attacks are quite difficult to avoid getting damaged from them. You can't just like run away from them. Well, you could run away from them, but it is quite difficult considering you're being floated up in the air. So coming in at the number 6 spot is the Vindicator. So the Vindicator are found in large abundances in the woodland mansions. They're all over the place, and they are really, really powerful. When I tried defeating them all with an iron chestplate on. That's all the armor I had. But even with the iron chestplate, which is one of the most powerful pieces of armor in the game, it still managed to defeat me in 2 hits. Just 2 hits this monster defeated me in. And considering that there are often lots of them, maybe in groups, or there are just lots of them in the mansion in general, it can be quite difficult to get past them. So that is quite annoying. So then, coming in at the number 5 spot, we've got one of the Vindicator's friends from the Woodland Mansion. It is the Vex. The Vex is a small flying mob that flies around and basically attacks you whilst you're going around the Woodland Mansion. But it's very powerful. It's hard to kill because they're fast and they're small. They're also quite hard to see sometimes. They can just sneak up on you. And they can go through blocks, they can just float through, they're kind of like ghosts, and they are just generally overpowered in like the sense that they're so small and hard to see, but they do so much damage. So we've mainly looked at like regular mobs now, but coming into the top 4, we are now looking at boss mobs. Coming in at number 4, we've got the Elder Guardian. There are 3 of these in total in the Ocean Monument. They make it very difficult to get into the Ocean Monument, because if you don't defeat them, then you have the like mining fatigue, which means you can't mine blocks as quickly as you normally would. And they're basically just a bigger version of Guardians that have more health, that do more damage with each shot, and that's pretty much what they are. It is a boss mob, and they're underwater, so they are quite difficult to get around if you don't have like water breathing or depth strider. So that they are just generally a difficult boss to face, especially considering you could find them surrounded by normal guardians, making it even more difficult. However, they're not higher up on the list compared to the other boss mobs, because their lasers are quite easy to dodge if you have lots of pillars. So coming in at the number 3 spot, we have the Evoker. So the Evoker is the boss mob from the Woodland Mansion. It's the mob that gives you the Totem of Undying. And the reason it's so difficult is because it's not necessarily more powerful than the other mobs from the Woodland Mansion, but it can spawn in the Vex, which is quite high up on our list. It's often in a room with some Vindicators in, which is also quite high up on our list, and it can also spawn in like crocodile teeth that basically come at you and snap at you, which also damages you. So they are in general very powerful, and they spawn in other really powerful mobs. So I found it very difficult to take this out when I was testing out all the monsters. But coming in at the number 2 spot now, we have the one and only Wither. So the Wither is quite hard to get to. You need 3 Wither skeleton skulls, which is one of the most difficult to get items in the game. And then they're very difficult, and they have lots of health. In its first stage, it shoots fireballs at you, or like balls of kind of like hitting you, and balls of harming, and they hit you and you'll get damaged. And then in the first half, you can only use bow and arrow at it unless you get to a high ground. But then in its second half, it kind of like has a shield around it, so you can't use arrows against it, and so you have to go in with a sword. But it's like, so it just basically drills through the ground as well. So it's a very, very difficult mob boss to take out, especially if you don't have the right stuff. And quickly, just to finish off the video, coming in at number 1 spot is, of course, the Ender Dragon. The Ender Dragon is the end boss in the game. It's hard to get to. You can't attack it until you've defeated all its crystals, and also it can be quite difficult to shoot. because it's all constantly flying around, and also the sword doesn't do much damage against it, and it also is surrounded by Enderman, which are on the list, and also has powerful dragon breath, which can damage you. So thank you for watching this episode in our Top 10 Tuesday video.